Dum 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 da 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 dum 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 da 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 dum 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum 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 dum. That is one of the great melodies that I've heard from the movie The Hook, or Hook, depending on what country you're in. It is probably one of the films that is loved and hated by a lot of people. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. It starred Ryan Williams, Julia Roberts, Dustin Hoffman. And this story had pretty much a whole new take on Peter Pan. And it pretty much asked the question, what if Peter Pan grows up? And what if he had children? And what if he had to rescue those children from his arch nemesis, Hook? What if he didn't remember he was Peter Pan and went on a different identity? What if that he had to learn to be Peter Pan all over again? All those questions that really nobody really asked for was actually presented in this movie. And originally, when this film was announced, it actually had the name Peter Pan. This was presented in what they call a marketing trailers. Now, for those who don't know what marketing trailers were trailers that was presented to investors who wanted to invest in the movie that the studios was trying to produce. A lot of these trailers were not long; they actually were pretty much very, very short, and they had the working title. Peter Pan was the working title of this movie, along with Indiana Jones, which didn't have The Last Crusade at the time, but just Indiana Jones. The Two Jakes, as well as Ghostbusters 2, all these films popped to one and extended of 4 years was being shown. And Peter Pan was among the films that they were trying so hard to get done. Well, eventually it was done, but the name was changed. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad they changed the name, because in all that rationality, besides the characters and the place being Never Never Land, a whole new style of Never Never Land, an updated version of Never Never Land, this was not really Peter Pan's story. This was more of Hook, Peter Pan's children, and just the overall theme of getting his children back by him becoming himself when he was a kid. Now, I will say this straight up and down. This was a film that was nominated for a couple awards, but was not well received by critics. A lot of critics had a lot of complaints about this movie. Some were justified. Some I felt they were just really nitpicking to the point where they just didn't enjoy the film. And for the most part, this is a movie that either if you're a very diehard fan, you want to see something different you didn't see before within the story arc of Peter Pan, you're going to like this movie. You really are. If you're a guy who's conservative in terms of this cannot be changed, they should never have done this to Peter Pan, most likely you're going to nitpick this film to death. I think the problem with me with this film is more of the setting. I'm going to be honest with you, I did not like Julia Roberts' performance in this movie. I know she was to play Tinkerbell, but she played it in such a way. I never liked the Tinkerbell to begin with. I'll be honest with you, that was the one character I can't stand. But she just played it so boring and so bland. I kind of wish they actually had a CGI character there, just looked like a little sparkle just to be there. She really wasn't the best in this film. Dustin Hoffman, however, loved him as Hook. I thought he portrayed Hook pretty good in this movie. He was fun, entertaining. His scheme was pretty much kind of clever, to the point where it was downright cruel. He was actually turning his son against his father, and he did this by, basically reminding him about stuff which makes me wonder how long he was watching Peter Pan and how long he had not known about he actually didn't remember him. And that's the thing about another reason why this film struck a lot of people the wrong way, because he was mentioning a lot of stuff to try and turn his son, and yet in the very beginning when they first meet up, it was quite clear that he didn't even recognize Peter Pan. He was surprised that he had grown old. He was surprised that he saw this middle-aged guy standing before him, and yet he was bringing out information that either A, you were there when all this stuff was going down, or B, you took a very wild guess, and those guesses was right on the money. But in any case, Dustin Hoffman's plan was pretty much easy. Hook's plan was pretty much easy. Turn the boy against his son. He will become a pirate, and that was pretty much the gist of it. However, Peter Pan, or Peter Panning, that's what the character name he was going on until he became Peter Pan, came to the rescue. He remembered how to fly. He remembered what it is to have happy thoughts, and that was pretty much the secret of the pixie dust. You have to have happy thoughts to order for it to work, but he didn't have too much happy thoughts right up until he remembered when his children was born, his daughter and his son, and that's when all those things happened. That's when he came back. The ending scene was very, very well done. I will say I liked it, the ending scene. The fight scene between Peter Pan, his replacement, which I was actually stunned he died in this movie. If it's spoiler alert for some of you guys, I'm sorry, but that caught me by surprise. I didn't expect a child's death to be in this film, and it happened, and it was like, oh, that's something new. That was actually kind of scary, and that's when you can see. That's when he said enough is enough already, but he knew he had to fight him. He knew he had to confront him because he would just come back. And the ending pretty much fits pretty much the whole theme of the Peter Pan Captain Hook rival. I wasn't surprised how Hook was defeated in this one. The passing of God, of course, happened, and Peter Panning and his children went home. And pretty much that was about the gist of it. I will say this about the movie. Story-wise, it wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of fun. I actually was surprised. And it took me a while, because when I saw the trailer, the official trailer, teaser trailer at Lowe's Oriental, the late Lowe's Oriental in Brooklyn, I didn't make the connection that was a Peter Pan movie because of the name change. I never did make the connection. It was only after I finally saw it is when I realized, oh, this is Peter Pan. And when I really actually saw it, I said, okay, I can see some of the complaints, but I can also see it's not a big deal. It's actually a pretty good film. This is typical Volume 1 performance. He's not terrible in this movie. It is kind of awkward him wearing tights, though, at his age, but he was not bad. It is actually right up Ryan Williams' alley. If anybody can ham it up better in this film like this, it's Ryan Williams. I think the thing is he didn't do it enough, because he really played it serious in the first half of the film. It was like, wow, you're really not trying to be the Ryan Williams I know and I love doing the 90s. But as the film go along, he slowly started to show the talent that he has as a comedian. But in the beginning, he was just being a real jerk. He didn't want to play with his kids. He was always trying to be in business. He actually yelled at his kids when they wanted to play with him. He basically forgot to have fun, and he allowed the typical overworked businessman story scenario. And it was hard to like him when his kids was in danger. He wanted to help his kids, but he was also had to face the fear, which went with it. He did not know how to do it, and it almost killed him and his children. But of course, you have Julia Roberts playing that. Oh man, Tinkerbell. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of that version of Tinkerbell. They made a deal. They accepted it, and he had a few days to bring back the pan that Hook knows, and that's when the training comes in. But overall, the story was fun. The story was entertaining. I actually like it. It wasn't terrible. I think the problem is that when you look at the set piece they had for the film, you can tell they was on a sound stage. You can tell they wasn't in a real forest. You can tell easily that all this was done pretty much in close, tight area, and that's something I didn't pretty much care for. There was some set pieces that was actually good. I liked the ship, but there was just clearly, like, you can look at it and say, yeah, this is not in the real forest. This is actually on stage, and that alone, if you look at it now, if you watched it before that time, and you look at it again, you really see the aging of this movie, and that's the problem. It aged not too well. Another thing is, I think there was a lot of upgrades and a lot of product placements that I think a lot of parents were not too particularly happy with. When you see Tinkerbell talking to Peter Pan or any of the other characters, there's an American Express card right beside her. There's other stuff, I forgot what they had right beside it, and that becomes annoying. It doesn't help matters. It pisses off a lot of parents because now, especially when you have product placement that is obviously aimed towards children, parents don't like that because now you're basically trying to force them in a predicament where they may have to buy their kids something because they're gonna say, "May I please have M&Ms or candy?" And that's one of the main things I did not like about the Smurfs. By the way, the Smurfs did the same damn thing, and needless to say, it didn't exactly please a lot of parents either. And I can't really blame them with so many product placements that was. It wasn't even the Smurf at the time; it was called product placement of the movie. I just gave you a little short review of how I felt about that movie, so let's move on with this one. Acting wise, it's fine. I love the music for this movie. I actually think John Williams, this is one of John Williams' best theme music. I actually liked it. It's actually been used before during the college football previews. They actually used the overture of Hook's theme in some of the college football play by plays. It's a good song. It's a good theme. One of the songs was nominated for an Academy Award, "Where You're Alone." It's not a bad song. I actually thought it was pretty good. Is it awardable? That's up to debate. I gotta hear what other music was actually nominated at the time. I don't know. I know it didn't win, but it was nominated. It was also nominated for a couple other stuff. So original score was definitely nominated for. But it's one of those movies that I really think that if you look at it, I think it all depends on your taste of films. I'm gonna lay it right here. Not a big time fan of Peter Pan's story arc. There are some Peter Pans I like. There's other ones I can do without. The Disney version is probably the most popular one. Of course, you also have the one that was made for a stage play. That one was shown a lot during my time. And I think everybody seems to be happy with that. I don't know how Return of Neverland did. I didn't see the film, so I can't really say. But for the most part, I think that they didn't. I think they want to keep that type of story grounded. It's not really like sequel bait. But for this one, it was just trying something new, and it wasn't terrible. It's not memorable, not by any stretch of the means. It's not like I put it as my new classic. But it's not. It's just harmless. It's just something of adventure for children and fans. And to be honest with you, it is kind of curious on how this is actually a decent sequel. It's not a terrible sequel. I actually was curious that it's interesting. Peter Pan has children and he don't remember anything, but now he's in a situation where he's staying and he's basically he's basically now fighting for a different cause now. He's not being selfish anymore. The story arc about how Peter Pan became the Neverland is very interesting, which is why I'm kind of curious of Tinkerbell's motivation, because the way they described the story arc is like he was an infant and he did not want to die, and so he ran away. No, I'm not really buying that, but that's the origin they had. And Tinkerbell, who just happened to be there, grabbed hold of the crib and basically flew him to Neverland, where he stayed throughout the most of his immortal childhood. It was when he left Neverland is when he started to grow up. So obviously there is some kind of age restriction when it comes to people living in Neverland. Also pirates, of course, kids are basically part of the Robin Hood clique. But in many cases, it is a very interesting twist to the Peter Pan lore, which I actually commend them. They took a big risk on this, and especially with Steven Spielberg. It is a risk that a lot of people didn't want him to take. A lot of people have criticized him for it, but in all, for the stuff that did work, I dug it. I liked the theme. I liked it, the story. I liked it, some of the good performances. Dustin Hoffman really played Hook very well. Like I said, there were some things that I didn't like, of course. The first half of Ryan Williams playing a complete idiot, complete moron. typical overworked father who only cares about his work. I've seen it already. I've been there, done that. Julia Roberts, I didn't really care for her performance at all. The kid who took over as for Peter Pan, he was okay. I was stunned that he got killed off the way he did, but it was all right. He wasn't bad. I think the overall is that when you look at the film, when I looked at it, I was not convinced it's Neverland. Then there was no real. I wasn't gripped. At my age, I saw this was a fake land it was in that I couldn't get myself emotionally invested. There's a lot of product placement I did not particularly care for, and that pretty much ruined the magic. And this is the thing about this. I think that studios tend to not give credit where credit's due when they have when it comes to their young viewers. Young viewers can tell right away just how fake a scene is or an area. They can tell when the clouds are painted in. They can tell just by looking at where a person is standing, whether that is a real tree or fake tree. I never really bought this land was Neverland, and that was the biggest thing that hurt this film for me. The only thing I actually, because it was actually a well-set design piece, was the ship. The ship was beautifully done, but other than that, I didn't buy this world he was in. It just never clicked to me. What's my rating on this movie? It's 2.5. It's not bad. Could have been better. The story was okay. Performances was okay. And the ending fight, for what it's worth, it was pretty good. I just think that I just think from my perspective, I wasn't convinced of what was going on. Actually, what's going on? There was a lot of inconsistencies with how Hook found him to. Hook not knowing who he is yet, he knew all about what was going on between him and his family. So there's a lot of inconsistency going on with that. Have they ironed out those carpets? They probably would have got a better rating for me, but that was the main thing. And for what it's worth, I think it's because I liked that the ending scene doesn't really justify the other stuff that that annoyed me the most, which is some of the product placements. Julia Roberts' performance, which was, I gotta tell you, I didn't care for at all. And the fact I really didn't care about the beginning scene of the film. I thought the beginning of this film, with the exception of Maggie Smith, who did a great job playing Wendy, I actually thought that the film's strongest point was right in the end, when things really start to hit the fan. But other than that, that's pretty much it. You guys may disagree, that's fine. But I'm just saying, this could have been a lot more better film had it been brushed up. It hasn't dated well. It just hasn't. It doesn't mean it's terrible. Many fans of the Peter Pan series may actually enjoy it. I'll be happy if they do. To me, it's something I watch occasionally, but not something I praise wholeheartedly. So that's my feeling on The Hook. What do you guys think about this movie? Did you like it? Didn't like it? Tell me what you feel about it. Even if you don't agree with me, I'd like to know what you're feeling about this movie. Until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.